You done now?
Broadcasting live from Houston, Texas, and around the world. TV host, best-selling author, and radio personality Brad Gilmore brings you a collection of conversations with stars from movies.
Mark Wahlberg.
Hey, how are you?
The legendary Mr. Christopher Lloyd. Christopher, how we doing?
I'm doing good. Great introduction.
Television.
Jimmy Fallon joins us this morning. Jimmy, how you doing, my friend?
Good morning. Thank you so much, Brad, for having me. I appreciate this, bud.
Kelly Ripa.
Brad, thank you for having me.
Comedy.
Jay Leno joins us. Jay, how you doing?
Hey, Brad, what's going on?
Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias.
Good morning.
Music.
Lola Monroe.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Grammy Award winner Maya joins us.
How are you?
And more. This is The Collection. Now your host, The Boat, Brad Gilmore.
And he joins me right now. He's an actor and author. You know him from The Daily Show, one of my favorite movies ever, Man of the Year. He is the Grammy Award-winning comedian, and we're talking about the brand new tour, Off the Rails, that's coming to a city near you. The incomparable Mr. Niles Black joins us. Louis, how we doing?
Every day, better and better and better and better. And it would have even been better if the Commanders had won, and they should have, but I just, that they're there to torment. That's what they do. They torment. And I'll feel really good if they're sold to actually someone who knows a little bit about football and how to do that, rather than just a consortium of people, none of whom seem to know anything about football, including Matthew McConaughey, who apparently is the last one who they said is getting involved.
Yeah. It sounds like Matthew McConaughey and Jay-Z are the two that are targeting buying the Washington Commanders. Hey, look, at least I guess I'm assuming you're a Commanders fan. I'm a Texans fan, so we're kind of sharing our misery with one another.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. Yeah. But we've had how long is your guy? You might, that Snyder's been there way too long. It's awful. I mean, he's awful. And they can't seem to, they finally might be seeming to get rid of him. He's been awful forever. Guy bought Albert Hainsworth for $100 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the first of the stupids.
The terrible decisions by ownership groups seem to just run throughout my sports fandom. Thankfully, hopefully things turn around for your Commanders. It looks like they're going to. I just don't know how people like Snyder or even a James Dolan, who's owned the Knicks and sports franchise in New York. I just don't know how they continue to do it after it's so obvious that they should not continue, but they just do. I guess when you're in that position of power.
And you have that much money, and they need you for whatever reason. And the other thing is with, you'd think that the rest of the folks in the league would go, no, enough's enough. We're sorry, you're out. You have to sell the team.
Well, hopefully there's a decision made soon for your sake and really for the benefit of football fans all around, man. But I have so much I really want to talk to you about as far as your tour goes, Off the Rails. You can get tickets right now at lewisblack.com. That's LEWIS black.com. You said you're on the road right now. You have dates into next summer right now listed on your website. What has the road been like? What has the road been like with this new act that you're touring around?
Yeah, no, it's been good. It's been a lot of fun. And, I'm dealing with, folks who have not seen me in 2 years or 3 years. So, they've been great. And it's been terrific. I'm like kind of stunned. They're just so happy to get out, and I'm so happy. We're all so happy to be out that it's really been terrific.
Now, did you develop this? I'm assuming is it all new act? Is this show that people are seeing, is this all new material that you've worked on over the last couple of years, or is it kind of a mix of some new, some old?
Well, I ended up May 15th was I did a new special, so that and then since then, and then I went back on the road really in September, and basically it started to put together what will be my next special. So I'd say 80%. No one has seen anything in the places I'm going of what I'm doing. Nobody. I mean, it's all new to them. And then a portion of that act is still part of the special, and that'll be gone probably in the next month.
Let me ask you, you talked about you had the special drop earlier this year, you're working on the next one. There's kind of, I guess, two schools of thought in comedy. You would know better than I. There's the George Carlin, as I'm having a new special every year, and then there's the Jay Leno of I'm never doing a special ever because I don't want anyone hearing this material that I've worked on for years. Where do you fall kind of on that? Do you feel like Jay's got a point? Like if you put it out there on Netflix or wherever, that material's gone, you have to start crafting new jokes, or you more on the Carlin side of things?
I'm on the Carlin side. I got to come up with something new or I'll lose my mind. I mean, it's all about coming up with what's the next joke. I mean, this stuff, once I get a joke and once I get it to the point, sometimes afterwards it's like I get it to the point that it should be, and then like 3 weeks later I'm working, I go, oh, that's what it is. Even with that, my feeling is always that it's the more excited I am about working on material, the more excited the audience will be, and I don't need to worry about it. And then a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, sometimes I go back and do it, and I remember it, and neither does the audience. So it's not like anything lost. I write on stage, so that for me, it's where I process and get the act to where I want to get it done. So. That to me is what always keeps it fresh.
So are you saying you have maybe when you say you write on stage, you're saying you have maybe a premise of a joke in your head and you say, okay, when I get up there, I'm going to try to work through this in front of the crowd tonight. Is that what you mean?
That's how nuts I am. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you're working really, without a net there, Louis.
It's crazy, but I kind of ended up with an audience that gets it. So, and I kind of know, if it's not working, I certainly bail on it quickly and then move on to something I know that works. And sometimes I just, I'm able to find ways to apologize to them that they find funny. I know I think if you're just honest about it, if it sucks, you got to turn to the audience and go, this is going to be pretty good in 2 weeks, and I'm sorry you had to sit through it.
But, sometimes that was like, I can remember watching monologues from The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, where there were a lot of times the jokes just went south, and that was the audience almost enjoyed being in on that more than the punchline of the joke would have been.
Exactly. And that's the other thing. As long as the audience knows you're conscious of them being there as opposed to ignoring them, I think that makes a difference. And there are a lot of comics, that really pay attention to where the audience are. And, it's kind of like, it's like it's always that thing that something will happen in the audience, right? That night, somebody drops a bottle or something happens or they yell something or something unusual occurs, and you talk about it for 3 to 5 minutes, and then all of the material you worked on for months, they don't care. They go, boy, that was the best. Boy, that 5 minutes you did about that guy, yelling strudel. Oh boy, that was tremendous. Because that's a lot of the times I yell stuff, and it's kind of like I go, did you just say strudel? I mean, seriously. Of course they didn't say strudel, but that's what I heard.
And then you just go off of the strudel thing.
Yeah, exactly. I go up on strudel and how to make it, and why would you be? You should bring some for everybody.
You say be aware of the audience, and I guess I'm curious because of you're literally going everywhere in this tour, off the rails. Tickets available at lewisblack.com. That's LEWISblack.com, including Hawaii, parts of the South. You're going to be in Alabama. You're going to be in the Northeast. You're going to be in the West Coast. Do you have to alter your act at all depending on the city or the region that you're in? Is there any kind of tailoring to that audience?
No, there's certain things, I've traveled enough to know that I was in Texas, or about Arizona. You say things about Arizona, you say, I couldn't live here because whatever is going on amongst your politicians is crazy, and they get, they laugh, they get it, they know we're watching. So I do it, I'll switch around stuff, but mostly I'd say 97% of what I do is the same, because they're all watching the same things. I might do something a little different, in terms of, if I'm talking about religion, I might deal with it in a different way in the South. I'll do the same thing, but I'll kind of come at it at a different angle, and it's the way that actually the act improves, because you've come at it from a different angle. You go, oh wow, well, look at that! I discovered this and this and this. But I stay with what I know. And plus, the big change is once we went to cable, everybody gets the same stuff. It's all pouring in, They know the difference between all of these things now, MSNBC and CNN and Fox and, all the nonsense.
Yeah, that's all it is, man. It's a bunch of nonsense. I definitely agree with you there. It's like T-Mobile, right? It's just all a bunch of nonsense.
Yes, it's all a bunch of nonsense. T-Mobile.
Oh no.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, you obviously are such an entertaining guy. That's why you've been able to tour for as long as you have and been on the top of your game. Rantcast is something that a lot of people love, and I know you've done a lot of episodes of it. Do you still enjoy doing the podcast?
Yeah, sometimes I don't, but most of it. Sometimes I'm not. The introductions drive me a little crazy, because I like talking to people there. I like that people are in the room. I like, that's the way I kind of get where the funny is. That's where I can hear where the funny should be. So when I'm doing the intros to these rantcasts, I'm really by myself talking to myself, which is, I think, mildly psychotic.
Well, yeah, sure. There's a degree to it, right? There's a degree to it,
yeah.
But to me, to have that ability, like, where did you kind of hone that craft? In all honesty, like, I'm being sincere, to just be given a topic and be able to go off about it.
I just, it's practice. I mean, literally, it was. I discovered, once I discovered that I am funniest when I'm angry, then everything fell into place, and then it all started to get really onto a different thing, because once I started figuring, once I realized that, then it became what I was, it became the place I went to. So it was, every night became a lesson in it. So I was learning it, and now I've got a pretty good grasp of it, so that I can kind of, it's like, it's a muscle that I learned to, that's the best way to describe it. It's a muscle in my brain called anger, and it really got stronger and stronger and stronger. But it's performance anger. It's not like, if I was really angry, I'd probably be dead.
Yeah, I mean, because you can get pretty volatile, on stage and in these podcasts that you do. I'm sure that would be a hard thing to keep up 24/7.
Yeah. It would be. People always say, "Are you like this all the time?" I go, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "Mostly, I got to take a nap to do it. That's the problem."
Yeah, I got to work myself up to the performance of it. Which is actually something really interesting to me. Obviously, you did Inside Out. From what I understand, you're going to be doing Anger again and Inside Out too.
We are. I just did the first recording of my character, and I think it's going to be good.
Well, the last one won an Oscar.
I'm not saying that just to say, yeah, I know, and I think what from where we're starting, looks like they're going in the right direction. So I'm kind of excited about it. I love doing it. What I really love is working with the world that they created inside that girl's head and outside her head. It's really quite something.
Oh,
they're really smart. They're way smart.
Oh, it's such a genius idea. And people at Pixar, they're kind of a can't miss organization. They know exactly what they're doing, and they go out there and they execute. But for you as a comic, I remember I had the late great Gilbert Gottfried on the show a few months ago.
My Yeah.
Yeah, and it's such a great person to talk to, awesome guy. But we talked about, one of his famous roles was playing the parrot in the movie Aladdin with Robin Williams, who is the genie. And I guess I just didn't know how the voiceover process went for animation films. And he said that, they were never even in the same room, and he was kind of stuck to what he had to do as a comic. To not have that feedback, like you said, you like people in the room. Is it difficult to kind of get into that character and know if it's working?
No, that's different for me because I really, first time I did it, and doing other, animation that, they cover, all I got to do is come up with, how do you read this line? What am I really? What's my, what's my intention? What is the character trying to say, and to say it that way? And then they do all the rest of the work, so you don't have to worry about where your body is in space or what you're dressed in, and really moving around. They do all the other work. You're doing really, so you can devote 100% to really what's the 20% which is the 30% of which is what's coming out of your mouth, and you don't need, and they cover everything else, so they've already figured this stuff out. It's insane, that's what makes them that smart. They've kind of already figured out everything around you. When at first I thought, especially with the Pixar thing, that it would be that's got to be a bit difficult. And then I realized, no, they really know what they're doing with this. And, it's from the time they hire you until it hits the theaters is 5 years.
Wow. So, I mean, they're doing I guess you can't, it's not like you're doing a 90-day shoot on some indie. This is a huge movie that takes thousands of people to create.
Yes, it is. It's a big difference, and you don't have to, all of a sudden I'm not really, I don't really need the audience out there, because they're basically, it's, once you're doing something that's theatrical or dramatic or comedic in terms of animation or even a movie, it's, you've got the eye is that camera, and so you don't have to worry about it. They know that you got somebody watching for the funny, and so it's, and if it's well written, you don't have to worry about a thing. This thing that's the line that I had, now San Francisco good. Now you've ruined pizza. I mean, it works. You just know that it's going to work.
You're again touring around the world for the Off the Rails tour, or around the country for the Off the Rails tour. It's lewisblack.com, LEWIS black.com. I got one more thing for you. I was listening to Conan O'Brien this morning. He was actually on Howard Stern, and they were talking about comedy in this era, and mainly talking about late night. But Conan said something interesting. He said the hyper politicalization, right, of news media, people I think are more politically aware than ever, has hurt comedy, because the late night hosts and comedians feel as though that they have to focus on it. Would you agree with that sentiment or not?
He may be right in terms of comedy, not comedy in general, but comedy in terms of late night. Yeah, I do think that they end up focusing on it, and because it's hard to get away from it, because it's really the way in which, they took this election that we've got, and they've done nothing but make it. It's either one day it's a horse race, the next day it's a football game, the next day we're playing. It's everything. It's just. They've taken the basic that politics is about ideas. It's not about winning and losing, except the day of the vote. The rest of the time, it's about ideas, and they don't discuss those ideas. Nobody asks the question of, well, you're going to get rid of crime. What are you going to do? What specifically are you going to do? And since those questions aren't asked, and since the news media treats it the way in which the politicians treat it, which is with a grain of salt, we end up with this nonsense.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem. And it's realizing. I mean, for myself, it's really a matter of trying to get to find out what, each time I'm going out there, how do you deal with this, and how do you deal with the politics of the situation that we're living in, and that's what I look for. So it took a long time for me to realize that the best way to, like 2 or 3 things ago was when I first started touring after the former leader Trump had won. All these people were like crazy, either for him or against him. It was like nuts. So I had to go with, basically I left that behind. I was trying to figure out, how do I start the act? How do I talk about it? And I said, that basically that we shouldn't really be that upset because we finally have what we wanted, which has now changed in a way. But when I started doing this act, I said, we all finally have what we want, which is 2-day free shipping. So you take it out of their hands so they can't, and everybody can agree on 2-day free shipping. So shut up.
That's the brilliance right there. That's the brilliance of Niles Black, and that's why you got to see him on tour right now. LilisBlack.com. It's off the rails. He's going to be in Ohio, North Carolina, New Jersey, Connecticut, New York, Florida, all up here in the coming weeks. Louis, it's a pleasure to talk to you. I hope the tour is incredible, sold out to the rafters, and much success to you.
Well, thanks. And just one other thing I would add, if it's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Just that we were talking about the rantcast, that folks should know, if they go to that I do those rants like live on stage from whenever I'm performing. If they go to LilisBlack.com, you can find out. They'll get in touch with you, let you know when I'm hitting the air. So, and like if you, let's say you're in the Eastern time zone and I've got a 10 o'clock show, or the show starts at 8 at 10 o'clock. I'll be on stage generally reading the rants written by other people. I don't write the rants. I interpret the rants and talk about them and discuss them and give them a context. Sometimes I don't even need to, because like I was in Dallas recently and everything that came out, everything that these people sent in was just, it worked. Just unbelievable. It was like having the Daily Show folks writing it. It was really well done, and so folks should know too that they can not only watch it, and it's free, so they can see it on their laptop, their phone, on their PC, anything, and then it's basically, it's free. We send it, and it goes throughout the world.
Okay, yeah.
So you can be sitting, you can be watching it, and there'll be somebody from Thailand commenting. You can't beat that. About somebody yelling about chunky peanut butter. And you can write about anything. And so if you go there, if you see it and there's something that's upsetting you, and it can be vitally important or it can be meaningless, just go ahead and start, get it off your chest, send it to me, and I'll help you get it out there.
Hey, the rant is due, and you can go check that out again at LilisBlack.com. Louis, really appreciate it, man.
Oh, thank you for your time. It was a pleasure, and good luck to you. Good luck to your football team.
Oh, my God. Well,
I understand.
We'll need more than luck.
You haven't got a bad defense.
Well, that's never been the problem. The problem's been everything else. The problem's been everything else.
I know it should be. Take care of yourself.
All right, take care, Louis. Thank you so much.